Welcome to S24 Rundown, tracking the stories shaping Nigeria and defining the globe. Short, sharp, and straight to the point. Here is our news in brief. We begin with critical domestic news, where the federal government has taken a decisive step to combat increasing banditry and internal security challenges. The government has officially raised a 500 billion naira emergency security fund. This massive financial intervention is aimed at upgrading military hardware, boosting intelligence gathering capacities, and deploying rapid response units to the hardest hit communities across the country. Officials state that the funds will be released immediately to security agencies to fast-track the elimination of bandit hideouts and restore absolute peace to affected states. Still on the continent, Nigeria and Ethiopia have deepened their diplomatic and legal ties through a new accord. The federal government declares that the newly brokered prisoner transfer agreement with Ethiopia directly aligns with the administration's renewed hope agenda. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the deal ensures that Nigerian citizens detained in Ethiopia can return home to serve out their sentences closer to their families under humane conditions. The government emphasized that this move reinforces its commitment to the welfare, dignity, and consular protection of Nigerians diaspora, while strengthening bilateral judicial cooperation with Addis Ababa. Now turning to global health, there is a glimmer of hope in Central Africa as new medical responses yield results. The World Health Organization reports notable progress in the ongoing response to the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Despite facing severe hurdles, including community mistrust and localized conflicts, the WHO has successfully expanded isolation capacities and upgraded treatment facilities in the affected provinces. Health officials have also rolled out new science-backed clinical management guidelines focused on early supportive care, which are significantly boosting patient survival rates. Finally, in international affairs, a major diplomatic hurdle has emerged in Europe, stalling efforts to resolve the Middle East war. The Swiss Foreign Ministry has confirmed that the highly anticipated U.S.-Iran peace talks scheduled to take place at the Burgenstock mountaintop resort has been postponed. This development follows the sudden cancellation of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance's departure for the Alpine nation, alongside hesitancy from Tehran's delegation over ongoing regional complexities. While both Washington and Tehran recently signed a preliminary ceasefire agreement to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, technical negotiations over nuclear program frameworks and long-term sanctions relief face immediate logjams. Swiss authorities maintain that they remain fully prepared to facilitate the critical dialogue as soon as logistical and political obstacles are cleared. Now moving on to business news with Gladys.
Hello and welcome to the Business News segment. I am Gladys Asukwa. We'll begin with the Nigerian capital markets, where investors engage in profit-taking activities, causing the Nigerian Exchange All Share Index to record a slight decline after recent gains. Market analysis said the developments reflect investors cashing in on previous profits while keeping a close watch on economic indicators and as well corporate performance. Still on the economy, attention remains on the foreign exchange markets as the Naira continues to face pressure against the United States dollar in the parallel markets. Stakeholders say stability in the foreign exchange market remains critical for businesses, importers, and investors across the country. Moving on to the regional business development, Standard Bank has announced plans to deepen its presence across Africa, citing growing opportunities in small and medium-sized enterprises as well as intra-African trade. The expansion strategy is expected to strengthen access to finance and support economic growth across several African markets. And in environmental finance, global leaders have announced billions of dollars in commitment toward ocean action and sustainable economic opportunities during the first African Our Ocean Conference held in Mombasa, Kenya. The funding is expected to support marine conservation, blue economic initiative, and climate resilience efforts across the continent. Meanwhile, a new report titled Banking on Climate Chaos has revealed that the world's largest bank increased fossil fuel financing significantly in 2025. Environmental groups said the findings highlight the widening gap between climate commitment and actual investment practices, renewing calls for greater support for renewable energy projects. And that wraps up the business news for today. Up next, we'll be joining Hadiza and Abubakar on Newspaper Review as they dissect the major stories making headlines across today's national dailies. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and now it's our next segment, which is our newspaper review with Abubakar Saraki. Abubakar, how are you today?
Hadiza, happy Friday.
Same to you. Hope you are doing well.
Yeah, I'm fine.
How are you
Hadiza.
preparing and gearing up towards the weekend?
Yeah, it's going to be joyful.
Joyful, right? That's great. Well, let's get right straight into it. And our first headline is coming from the front page of Daily Trust, and which is actually right below. It says, insecurity, government must take proactive measures. So with the growing concerns over the nation's insecurity challenges, that's once again sparked calls for decisive actions with stakeholders urging the government to adopt proactive measures to stem the tide of violence and restore public confidence in the country as regards our security architecture. So what proactive measures can be put in place or should be prioritized by the government in order to cope this kind of situation? Meanwhile, we've been given, there's been, let me say, would I say outright warning by the federal government that anything that has to do with insecurity, banditry and all that, it should be taken off
The front pages.
the front pages. I wonder why the government will come out and say that, but let's have your reaction first.
Well, responding to the second question you asked me, maybe they wanted to do something differently. And that is why maybe they are giving that warning to Nigerians. But this is a democracy and it's not a military rule. So they can call Nigerians not to do that, but Nigerians have the freedom to express their own opinion.
Freedom of speech.
Second question. While the first question,
What was like?
the demise of General Rabe, may his soul continue to rest in peace, have actually exposed the security architecture in our dear country.
That's the weakness.
Nigeria. It actually weak is porous. Everyone can enter and perpetuate a crime and even go scot-free. And you know how Nigerian government are, especially on matters that does not even affect them directly. We know when Chibok girls were actually kidnapped. I think during that time, that was 2014, I'm actually expecting not to see any kidnapping again if the government have been serious enough in the tackling of that insecurity. But subsequently, after the Chibok adoption happened, Papiri happened, followed, Dapchi adoption followed, Ankara, many places. Oyo, recently we saw what happened. So if to say that the government have been taking proactive measures, they should not wait for the criminals to come and attack. Let them, the government, follow them to the latter and fight the problem of insecurity to the core.
Well, if you check it, most of these people in high places are actually coming out to speak now because they said insecurity, banditry kidnapping and all sorts would not end because most of the government officials are the perpetrators and people who are into mining. So curbing that, do you think if the government, because allegedly, if the government is part of the perpetrators, then what is going to be the hope of a bare masses in Nigeria?
I'm so excited the way you said allegedly, because it is obvious that even if you remember what Sani Abacha said, that any insecurity that lasted for 24 hours, maybe there is an undertone behind that. And we knew how resources were being extracted, especially in Zamfara. That is one of the major reasons why Zamfara is one of the worst heated area in terms of insecurity. The presence of gold there.
Yeah.
And we know what happened somewhere around the Lake Chad Basin. The arable fertile land there, that there are presence of natural resources there. So maybe there is a government conspiracy behind that. That is the reason why they are yet to at least tackle the issue of insecurity to the core. And we all believe that one of the most lucrative agencies that actually have at least one of the finest budget every year is the security sector and the defense sector. So that is one of the major reasons. And you know how most of Nigerian leaders, allegedly, they are not even remorseful. They don't even care about the policies that will impact the common life of a Nigerian. As long as they will continue to have their own checks, have their own money in their account, continue to live in a flamboyant life, they don't even care about ending this insecurity. But this is to tell you how insincere some of the government authorities and officials are. We have been fighting the problem of insurgency for almost 20 years now. And recently we saw a kind of like a bypass solution that have been brought out, integrating them into the society, pardoning them, calling them as our brothers. And they seems to look at the business of kidnapping as more lucrative than most of the other businesses they have been doing. And how do you expect somebody that have not been able to at least make at least 500,000 a year, and now he is making almost millions of naira in just one or two kidnapping? And how do you expect that he's going to at least stop that? Still the government are saying that no, we are going to reintegrate you into the society. We are going to put you through rehabilitation. So
going back to it will not be an issue to them.
It's something they can really don't believe in the dialogue with the criminal. A criminal will always be a criminal.
Like they said, never negotiate with a terrorist. Now let's talk about intelligence gathering, because recently one of, the lawmakers, Baba Ahmed, he came out and said his nephew was actually kidnapped for like 26
PRP, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed.
Exactly, his nephew was kidnapped for like 26 days alongside
and they
like
even
three
gave
people,
almost 175
million naira. And he said he gave them the location and nothing was done. So what do you have to say about intelligence gathering? Would I also say, what would you have to say about state policing if it's going to help?
Hadiza, I will continue to advocate for
the state police.
The state police not to see the light of the day. What the federal government what the federal police have failed to do that? How do you expect state police to do that? And recently, I stumbled across one memo from the Department of State Security. Do you know that before that massive adoption that happened, is it in Edo, when almost 47 students were adopted? Do you know that they communicated to the right authority? I was opportune to speak to someone that is
there.
Then I asked him, I said, sir, son, you normally used to send this thing to them? He said, yes, we used to do our own gathering, we give it to them, but all effort seems to be abortive. And this is Nigeria for us. So what Hakim said is right. What he said was right. You will see that those criminals, they will just be TikToking, live streaming, even sharing giveaway. I think I shared the video with you. And you are yet to at least bring them to order. Remember what happened. The moment when you insult one of them, they will track you down and bring you to justice. I could remember former First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, one student from Federal University, I think Dusi, he actually insulted her. Within a blink of an eye, that boy was brought to justice. And later on, subsequently, with the support of student union government and SUG, right, and some other relevant student unionism, they were able to at least secure his release. So if they can at least track an innocent people, why are bandits still going out there streaming online and you are yet to track them?
So does that mean that there is the proactiveness we're talking about would never come in place from the government?
It may be difficult. We just need to clean our heart, put Nigeria in our heart, and let us remember that no matter what, before you will never be there forever. You're not the first, and you will never be the last. So just do your thing. It's just a matter of 4 years or 8 years you will live. And history, and if you really want prosperity to judge you, do something. Now, I have never met Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, but whenever the name of Tafawa Balewa or Azikwe is mentioned, I used to feel like those people are great individuals that fought to the stability of this country. Well, I don't want to mention the name of a politician. He's currently alive, but he's actually not making impact.
The problem is the way Nigeria is even going. If you don't even need the need, if you don't do the needful, you don't do what you're supposed to do, you will definitely fall a victim.
When it has started manifesting,
exactly.
Who knows General Rabe will be adopted by kidnappers? Who knows the sister to the former minister will be adopted?
Power.
Who knows? And we saw how most of the politicians, when they are going, especially in their own local community, when people are actually attacking them, insulting them, and even stoning them. We don't want a situation whereby an innocent Nigeria will at least will start thinking of possessing a firearm.
I think I from this newspaper review, I already have a tagline: the shoe fits. So since you are wearing it, do the needful. That's what I will say. Like, moving on quickly to our next headline. And this is coming from Nigerian Tribune. It says, Ekiti polls, CSOs demand transparent and credible polls. Ahead of the forthcoming governorship election in Ekiti State, civil society organizations are calling for a transparent, peaceful, and credible electoral process, stressing the need to safeguard the integrity of the votes and strengthen public trust in Nigerian democracy. So how prepared is the INEC to deliver this coming Ekiti polls? How prepared are they?
Well, if you look at it, INEC are fully prepared, because I saw that they have actually going to move the sensitive and non-sensitive material this morning. And as they said, tomorrow as early as possible, the 16 local government area in Ekiti State, they will have their own opportunity, and they will have their own mandate to exercise their own franchise. But you know, tomorrow's election is going to decide the 2027 general elections, because tomorrow battle is going to be between the incumbent ruling party, the strong opposition party, and the former strong opposition party, which is the APC, ADC, and the PDP. And subsequently, if truly we want to see democracy flourish in this country, allegedly, the ruling party, especially the government at the central level, should not interfere into the decision of people of Ekiti states.
I just really want to know how, because we already know how some elections take place in some states. Like the last primary elections they did, like in Nasarawa State in particular, I will tell you, in Kefi, they just said, it was just named polling units, but no materials ever got there. But results came out from such places.
I stand to be corrected up to now. Those people that failed to at least organize a Ranko-free election during the internal party direct primaries, that they were able to manipulate and inflate the figures within them. That is exactly what they did. Both the political parties, I stand to be corrected. I think Nigerians by now should not be able to at least trust any political party so far, because they are all birds of the same feather. What APC did, it was exactly what ADC did, and subsequently PDP also did the same thing in terms of internal direct primaries. We saw the way they were counting. They started counting. If you ask a primary 5-year student to count from 1 to million, I think he will do that freely without any missing any number. But a matured adult, and somebody that is selling himself to be a candidate to represent his people, that he can't be able to count at least simple arithmetic, how do you expect this person to represent you at the national level? Secondly, and tomorrow's election, if care is not taken, is going to be a kind of like a prior celebration ahead of 2027, because from the body language of the ruling party are not yet to allow the Nigerians to exercise their franchise. Rather, we are going to be in a situation whereby election will stop taking place in this country. Is going to be a coronation.
Abakar.
And it's obvious there is no presence of opposition in this country. Because if you say that you are from the opposition, they will just go back and check on your file. If they check on your file, well, maybe you have a kind of like a pending court case. We saw what they did to former governor of Kaduna State. We saw what they did to many people. We saw what they did to Sadia Umar Farouk when her husband subsequently decamped to the ruling party. We saw what they did to the former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malem, who is currently contesting the governorship of Kebbi State.
I believe the APC is actually looking at a one-party system, which
it's not one-party system. Sorry to stop you. It's one-party dominance. You know, one-party dominance is not constitutionally recognized. Rather, it is actually kind of like a ruling that is being ruled based on whims and caprice. And this is to tell you the government that came while they were actually accusing the then government of PDP. They are accusing the government of PDP for allowing Chibok girls to be kidnapped. They campaigned on that. They were accusing the government of PDP for inflicting hardship, which they came into power. They withdrew subsidy. Students were kidnapped day in, day out. Nigeria have never been in a kind of like economic quagmire that what we are experiencing right now. These are the kind of facts that we need to be comparing in order to elect our own leaders. We are not going against the PDP or the APC. Rather, we are Nigerians. I so much tell them that we love this country more the way they even love this country, because it is obvious they really wanted to be patronizing the public offices and the miniature and the lucrative subsidy that come with the public office. That is why. Tell me one public officer or one public official that is patronizing public structure or public hospital or even public school. You went to Nasarawa State University. I went to Gombe State University. These are all public universities built by the government. But I doubt even if the child of a local government chairman can go to a public university.
Well said, Abakar, well said. We'll do this again on Monday, and we'll keep dissecting national issues and headlines. That's a wrap on Newspaper Review. Up next is S24 Report, coming to you after the break. Please stay.
Before they even constructed this road, I have been sitting here, over there. Since the birds were 7, they have been coming here to eat. Now I think they are more than 30. Whatever I get some food for them. You will find them on the roof, waiting.
In a quiet corner of Wuyi, where life moves gently between survival and routine, sits a man whose story is not about what he has, but what he gives. Malam Yusuf. For years, this small park has been his place of work and his place of purpose. He sells joysticks, dates, and tiger nuts. The profit is modest, sometimes barely enough to get by. He speaks of family with quiet pride and of life with something even rarer, contentment. But what makes Malam Yusuf different is not just how he lives, it is how he gives. From his small earnings, he sets something aside every day for birds that do not belong to him. Me yasa kake ji wai yana da muhimmanci ka zuba masa abinci?
They are
Ai
also
bayin
God's
Allah ne su ma.
servant, the God that
Allah ya
created
halitta mu ya
them
halitta
and
su.
also
Ya
created
danganta ka
us. It
a
is a
ra'ayin mutum yana
choice you
bukata.
may want to give
Wani
them.
kuma yana so ya bayar.
Kana tunanin waɗannan abubuwan sun gane ka?
A'a,
Ka zo suna gane ka wai fai ne?
kamar misalin karfe 7 ki zo nan. Za ki sami musan.
The community has played its part creating a small waterhole. Malabi purpose.
Baba wannan babanmu ne muna tare da shi nan.
He is like a father to
Mutumin
us.
kirki ne.
We are with him always. He cautions us when we do wrong.
Bangaren su wa'innan
For the
tsuntsaye da suke
birds,
zuwa nan,
he tries
a
to get
koda wani
them food.
lokaci yakan ɗan yi ƙoƙarin kawo masa abinci.
Ma ko da yaushe yakan
He comes every day with millets and throw at them. They leave the rooftop every time to drink water and baths. We do not allow any harm on
kuma ya
them.
kama su ko ya ce zai cutar da su.
Idan ruwa ya ƙare za mu je a ɗebo a kawo masa haka. Idan shi
We try to replace the water when their water finishes. When Baba is not around, I also try to feed them sometimes with rice.
He may not have much, but every day he gives without hesitation. While chasing more and more, Malam Yusuf has chosen something different, and the question he leaves behind is simple. What does it truly mean to have enough? Kai in ka zuba musu abinci,
Eh,
ya kake ji ne?
ni ina jin daɗi.
I feel happy
Kamar ni ma
just the
da in
way
an
I
bani
feel if I was
nake
given.
jin daɗi.
Dama abin da ya kawo mu shi ne,
Eh,
yanda kake samu na ci ba da yawa ba, haka ina ji kamar za ka iya kuma ka ba waɗansu waɗannan abubuwan.
eh,
Ke ji na aron.
wanda
Only
bai san
someone
Allah ba ne,
who have
bai
no
san
faith
komai ba
in
kin ce
God
ganin kaɗan ne.
will think
Ni masu yawa ne
what
gare
he
ni.
has is small.
Hello and welcome to Political Arena. I'm your host, Onie Shukra. Across Nigeria today, young people are increasingly stepping into spaces where important conversations about leadership, governance, and national development are taking place. While age has often been seen as a barrier, a new generation is proving that ideas, passion, and commitment can be just as important as experience. Joining us today is Ibrahim Zanna Sonoma, a young advocate, a speaker, a youth leader whose work is focused on peace building, inclusion, and civic engagement, and youth development. Ibrahim, welcome to Political Arena, and thank you so much for honoring our invite.
Thank you for having me, Shukara.
You've been quite remarkable, I mean, at just 17. So what would you say shaped your experience and has shaped you and has put you in the path of advocacy and leadership?
As I've equally used to voice out that I'm a child of circumstances, being brought and brought up amidst the sorrowful saga of insurgency in northeastern Nigeria has really shaped the person I am becoming. You know, we grew up, survival was the first lesson we learned, not literacy. So growing up amidst our peers, our schools being burned down, our roads to school are no longer safe, we're in constant fear, I think it raised a lot of thoughts in my head that where are the people supposed to stop what is happening to us? Why is no one doing anything? It was such thoughts coupled with the horrific experiences I had that gave birth to the modern day Ibrahim, which was actually a young boy who intentionally delved into the art of public speaking with his sole aim that I become an amplifier for the voices of my peers silenced by conflict. I could remember my father, he once told me in some years gone by, he said that, Ibrahim, anything done for you without you is not truly for you. And looking at how today, you know, we have leaders sitting in high offices miles away from our homes and schools, they claim to understand what we go through when they don't hear it directly from us. So I think those experiences are the ones that motivate me to become the person I am today.
You seem very interested. I mean, you did mention that you grew up in a conflict-affected area. That must have been one of your reasons why you're interested in governance, leadership, and advocacy. However, can you take us through that and delve deeper?
I think, as you have mentioned, I think my first-hand experiences are part of what made me to be involved in governance. But now, I think growing up a little bit with all the advocacy experiences I've had, I've come to realize that politics and governance plays a very key role when it comes to influencing decisions. I have been a public speaker, I've been an advocate, and we have raised our voices in different platforms, in international platforms, and we have truly seen how powerful they are. But what today we advocate for is that we move from not just our voices, but for young people to be part of these decision-making spaces. You see that we're able to express ourselves, but we don't have real influence. It has now become a culture of tokenism, I would say. So I think looking at how these things, our voices are not being accountable for, and looking at how our voices are not in positions of power to really change things on ground for our people, I think I was very much interested in politics and governance to see that, okay, I'm in a position where I can directly say this and it's this.
How have your experiences shaped your trust and expectation of leadership in Nigeria?
I think looking at a lot of things happening in Nigeria, I think today we are no longer what we are. What is happening today is not part of the stories our grandmothers would used to tell us about, our country. So looking at the current situation we have today, I think the way for you to trust the leadership of our country, it's very difficult. Because take a look at the unfathomable crisis going on everywhere around our country. Growing up, we haven't really felt what it's like to be, a part of a good leadership in our country. So I think these experiences really undermine how we see leadership in Nigeria. But I think despite all this, we still have hope. And where there is a will, there's always a way.
Ibrahim, Nigeria will be great again, and we will tell our children good stories about Nigeria, hopefully. Okay, as someone who advocates for peace and inclusion, what do you think young people can do to contribute positively to the country?
I think one of the best tools as young people, since we are not invited to the room, is to actually take up the spaces ourselves. I think our voice is a very powerful tool for young people. When you don't speak up, it's like we have become accustomed and we have become very quiet on issues that are directly affecting us. And you can see the power of young people all around our country today. You would see youths coming out to speak, and you see how well the communities engage with them. So as young people, our number one weapon is our voice. But then we also need to develop ourselves so that we'll be able to sit in conversations where decisions are being made about us. Because there's this popular African proverb that says, when a child washes his hands, he can eat with the elders. And I believe we need to equally also prepare ourselves, prepare our leadership skills, our skills on how we will be able to contribute to decisions happening in our own society. But I think my number one message would be for us to speak up.
We should speak up, and we should be actively involved in the civic engagements going on around us. Nigeria has recently experienced a series of kidnappings across all parts of its country, affecting especially the educational system. And as the saying goes, a country without education is bound to collapse. Personally, how do you feel about all of this? How does this affect you?
Well, education is the only tool for the child of a peasant farmer to become the most celebrated icon of tomorrow. According to Nelson Mandela, he said education is the passport to the future, and for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. But as you have directly mentioned, today, our schools are not safe. Insecurity ravages our children. Our roads to school are no longer safe. Our children are being abducted from their schools. So now tell me, how are we preparing for education tomorrow? So looking at the insecurity, especially when it comes to the aspect of education, I think it is something that we need to prioritize, not just as citizens of this country, but as the leadership of this country. We need to invest more in security. Security, especially when it comes to the aspect of education. If you look at brilliant people today, even I myself, one of the things that keeps me going and one of the things that keeps me passionate about education is I know, if not because of the background I had in education today, I will not be here in a position where I can represent my peers and feel fulfilled afterwards. So I think what I really think needs to be done is that we need to invest more on the matters of security. And it's not just about our leadership, it's not just about our government, it's about our people in our communities. According to Johann Wolfgang, he says, let everyone sweep in front of his own door and the world will be clean again. So we all have responsibilities to play. In our communities, in our families, in our homes, let's try to make sure that our children are safe, our communities are safe.
As someone who grew up in a conflicted area, what messages do you have to children who are currently going through such, who can't go to school because of conflicts, who can't worry about education but rather have to worry about if they are going to see tomorrow, if their parents are going to be there, if they are going to still see their parents tomorrow? What message can you pass to them?
My message to children and young people in conflict-affected areas, one thing I would say to them that I'm currently certain is that no matter how long the night is, darkness must give way to the light of the dawn. Now, stormy the weather might well be, it won't rain forever. Any type of madness will come to an end.
Hopefully.
And I believe that we should also try, as young people, to equip ourselves to learn from our own experiences, to use our experiences as a fuel in order to become a celebrated icon of tomorrow. Where there is a will, there is always a way, and this madness will come to an end, inshallah.
You're quite optimistic, Ibrahim. I like that. Do these security challenges make you worry about Nigeria's future, or do they inspire you to even work harder for change, or both?
I think in every adversity lies the seed of opportunity. Insecurity ravages our communities today. But then, this also gives us an opportunity to re-engineer our society into a better place. You know, when I said there's always hope within the hearts of boys and girls, we can never lose hope because that is the only tool we have today. So looking at insecurity, I look at it in a way that it gives us an opportunity for us to make our society better. If you look at the word for crisis in Chinese, it's Wei Jie. Wei stands for danger and J stands for opportunity. So in any situation you find yourself, there's always an opportunity to build stronger and better.
In one word, I would like you to say something directly to the leaders on behalf of young people. And what is that one thing you want them to prioritize?
I'll want them to make room for young leaders today. If they don't make room for young leaders today, they will pay the price of our absence tomorrow.
That was really deep and insightful. I like that. So I would like to say a very big thank you to you for joining us on Political Arena today. And thank you for watching for the Political Arena. Stay with us for S24 documentary.
You can never be in the military without looking at the socio-political situation in your country, because this is what shapes how society is governed, and this is what shapes what leads to crisis. Because most of the crises that erupts in so many parts of the world could be as a result of things like as small as change in policy. We have seen what has happened during the Arab Spring, where the issue of bread led to a crisis, and that crisis reverberated and actually, in fact, engulfed so many countries. That is how crisis is. So we in the military, I can tell you that throughout my career, especially when I begin to climb up the ladder, we have actually always been looking at things and analyzing them and see what impact will that have in our training, in our equipment. Because I can tell you that, like for instance, we in Nigeria as a country was a British colony, but all our neighbors were colonized by France. So we're surrounded entirely by French-speaking countries. And we all know that after our independence in 1960, the British, after some times, had little or no influence on how we govern our countries, which is not similar to what happens in countries that were colonized by the French. All the French-speaking countries before now were using the French franc. And not only that, it's France that was printing their money. France had military bases in their country. So based on that, you could see that shaped our thinking. We're thinking, in case now, if there is a crisis between Nigeria and a French-speaking country, what happens? Because that means we're not going to fight that country, we're going to fight France. Because I could remember during my service, we had issue with Cameroon in Bakassi. Bakassi, if you could know, Bakassi was actually initially part of Nigeria, but at the stage, Nigeria gave it out to Cameroon, and after some times it became an issue, which even led to several skirmishes between Nigeria and Cameroon. And I could remember some of my colleagues went to that operation, and we could see that we're actually not dealing with, there is interconnection. You know, there is a lot of collaboration, cooperation, and synergy between the French-speaking countries and with even their own former colonial masters. So as a military officer, this is why you have to be very vast. You have to study situations. You have to look at how situations develop. This is why as a military officer, you must have an analytical mind. Every crisis that you see must have started from somewhere. It starts from somewhere and it grows before it gets engulfed.
So I've got two questions now for you. When I was here in August,
yes,
I saw and witnessed the African Chiefs of Defence Summit that took place at the Transcorp Hotel here as well. And of course, what you've got in West Africa is you've had 3 military coups recently. Like I said, the sort of expulsion of France, the expulsion of basically many outsiders, the growing influence of Russia with its mercenary Africa Corps, the Chinese somewhere in the background looking to influence things. You know, take us into a meeting today of your former colleagues at sort of your level, Major General, sort of, you know, brigade headquarters, looking to plan things, whereby you're starting to think to yourself, well, the news recently is that the Islamic insurgency is now knocking at the gates of Bamako in Mali. And this is, you know, the first major capital with a state that could fall, not to maybe a sort of criminal enterprise, but actually an Islamic insurgency, which is kind of starting to mirror Iraq and Syria, but they only control territory there. What you're talking about here is actually them being able to take over. How would they be reacting to that? Do you think it's more your plans are already there? Is it just kind of monitoring the situation? Because those kind of things, they have an impact, don't they, on people thinking, well, actually, they're gaining some ground. Maybe my banditry in the north of Nigeria now means that I could go off and join the insurgency and bring that home and destabilize a system that's never really cared about me, which is why I became a bandit.
You're very correct that it's very disturbing that now no nation lives in isolation. Whatever happens in another nation inadvertently spills over to its neighbors. So the growing insecurity in Mali is very disturbing, and it's given us a lot of reason for us to be concerned. And I can tell you, as we have said, that I'm very sure, even when I was in service, these are some issues that we have that we actually look at, because we look at the political, the economic and security situations beyond our own borders, and we try to analyze and see in what way can that affect our training, our equipment, and our own plans for defenses and what have you. So what is happening in other countries is actually disturbing to us, and I can tell you that this is why even whenever we're making purchases and what have you, we actually look at what do our neighbors have, because I'm sure you know that by the time you look at Jane's magazine, you can be able to know whatever another country has. Or if you look at the book like The Military Balance, all those books give us a lot of literature as to what is happening outside our shores. So we are very correct that this issue of non-state actors that are getting stronger and stronger, the Sahel now has actually become a battleground. There are so many players, there are so many actors. France is still there, even if it is expelled. US is still there, Russia is there, China is there, the Islamists are there. So there are so many actors. And what is happening is something that It's very disturbing.
And it's also hard to know what's happening in these ungoverned spaces, isn't it? Where, because there's no rule of law as such, it's very difficult to find out what's going on. And I think, you know, something like the Mali situation, if Mali was to fall, then I think we're getting into an area where, since you've retired, you've started to, you know, be involved in internally displaced people and stuff. So for me, I was very fascinated to hear you talking recently about, you know, Nigeria's borders with Cameroon, Benin, Chad, and obviously Niger, the northern border, not too far away from Kitsana and just north of Kaduna and just north of Abuja, so we're not that far away, that is suddenly impacted by things like, you know, desertification, climate change, that has an impact on weapons, that has an impact on people, and then people being displaced from conflicts that are taking place, whether it's Islamic insurgency or war or banditry. Suddenly what happens is your extensive border is actually quite porous and stuff. So do you think more could be done to use technology like drone technology to help monitor that situation, or do you think it's going to have to be a physical feature like the berm in Western Sahara, or does it have to be like a physical wall or a fence, which obviously wasn't very successful with Israel and Palestine? But you're starting to think about, every time if someone thinks they've got a solution, there's always a way through it. So how do your colleagues approach those kind of scenarios?
You're correct that it's very disturbing. I could remember even recently the Chief of Defense Staff stated that Nigeria should think of constructing a wall. But to me, constructing a wall, as you have said, is capital expensive. Not only that, the question is that even you have a wall, people can scale it, people can break it. So the key thing is that what we need is actually to make use of technology. Beside drones, we should have surveillance equipment. We should be able to do so many things that we can be able to keep our borders safe. Some of these ungoverned spaces are actually the markets where weapons exchange hands, because nobody is there. There is no government presence. So this is why I am of the view that the government should actually have to beam its searchlight in those places and try to make efforts to develop them. Then those areas in the borders, we all know the crossing points. So those crossing points that are not being manned, we should be able to make sure that they cannot be used by maybe creating ditches, making them unpassable. There are so many other techniques that can be used, but the key aspect is that right now I don't believe in physical security. What I believe is technology. Let's embrace the use of technology. We should be able to get drones, we should be able to get satellites that should have a 24-hour surveillance of those places, and we should be able to have monitors where we can be able to monitor, see what is happening, and then we should have some drones or helicopters so that whenever we see some undesirable elements doing things that are inimical to our security and our well-being, we should be able to strike and act. That is the way to go.
Across Nigeria's security landscape, the battle against terror, kidnapping, smuggling, and various forms of criminality remains active. Welcome to Security Update on S24 Television. I am Gloria Atta, bringing you the latest operations shaping the country's security outlook. To start with, troops of the Nigerian Army have rescued a kidnapped victim found in chains and destroyed several terrorist hideouts during Operation Clean Sweep in Katsina State. Supported by airstrikes under Operation Fansan Yamma, troops cleared terrorist enclaves in Matazo local government area and the notorious Fafu forests, recovering 36 cattle, 280 sheep and 2 donkeys believed to have been rustled by terrorists. Troops also discovered a hideout linked to a notorious terrorist leader where 2 bodies were recovered and 1 captive, identified as Nura Yer Adua, was rescued in chains and evacuated for treatment. The army says several camps and logistics bases were destroyed, significantly degrading the terrorists' operational capacity. Meanwhile, in Edo State, police have killed a suspected kidnapper and arrested another member of a gang linked to the abduction of a woman at the vegetable market in Benin City. Commissioner of Police Monday Agbonika said operatives acting on intelligence arrested 32-year-old Marvelous Isaac, while another suspect identified as Precious was neutralized during a gun battle with officers. A Lexus SUV allegedly used for the operation, a pump-action gun, live cartridges, 2.25 million naira suspected to be ransom proceeds, and a motorcycle were recovered. Governor Monday Okpeolo commended security operatives for the swift response and announced plans to establish a special court to fast-track the trial of kidnappers and cultists. Meanwhile, police in Lagos have arrested 25 foreign nationals suspected of entering Nigeria illegally following a reported kidnapping incident in Ikorodu. The suspects include 19 Chadians and 6 Cameroonians. Police say some claim they came for an evangelical crusade, while others said they were in the country for network marketing activities. Investigators, however, found they lacked valid travel documents and have launched further investigations. And finally, in Oyo State, the Nigeria Customs Service says it intercepted contraband worth more than 3.22 billion naira and recorded an 8% increase in revenue over the past 3 months. Items seized include foreign rice, used clothing, tires, cannabis, tramadol, 3 pump-action rifles, and 15 vehicles. 3 suspects were arrested in connection with the smuggled firearms, while another was apprehended for allegedly operating a fake customs recruitment scheme. And that's all we can take on our security update for today. Remember, security is everybody's business. If you see something, say something, and trust the security agencies to do something. Stay safe and bye for now.
Hello and welcome to Tech World Updates, where we discuss technology, innovation, and digital world. I am Aisha Muhammad. Here's what's shaping ICT from Nigeria to the global stage. We begin in Nigeria, where the country's long-awaited digital switchover program continues to generate debate across the broadcasting industry. As the National Broadcasting Commission pushes ahead with its satellite-first migration from analog to digital television, stakeholders, including the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, have raised concerns over the model being adopted. Critics argue that the current approach differs from internationally recognized terrestrial digital migration standards and could alter the structure of television distribution in Nigeria. Beyond transmission, industry experts say the transition could have significant implications for local content production. A successful digital switchover could create more channels, increase demand for original Nigerian programming, generate new opportunities for independent producers, and expand audience access to local content. However, broadcasters warn that the full benefits will depend on affordability, accessibility, and a framework that supports local content creators rather than increasing operational burdens. Still in Nigeria, attention is also turning to the digital entrepreneurship. TikTok and the International Chamber of Commerce have launched Digital Commerce Labs in Lagos, an initiative designed to equip micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises with practical digital tools to grow their businesses. The program is expected to help entrepreneurs strengthen their online presence, expand market reach, and take advantage of rapidly growing digital economy. And from digital business to digital innovation across the continent, in Kigali, the GSMA has recognized some of Africa's brightest technology talents through the inaugural GLOM African Awards and the Open Gateway African Ignite Hackathon. The competition celebrated developers and innovators using technology to solve local challenges, highlighting the growing strength of Africa's innovation ecosystem. At the same time, a new report from the United Nations Economic Commission of Africa is urging governments to pay closer attention to quantum computing. The report warns that while the technology presents enormous opportunities for scientific advancement and economic growth, Africa could fall behind if investments in research, infrastructure, and talent development do not keep pace with global developments. And finally, to the international technology landscape. Artificial intelligence company Anthropic has reportedly taken a major step towards a future stock market listing after confidentially filing draft registration documents. The move follows explosive growth across the AI sector, where competition among leading firms continues to intensify as investors pour billions into next-generation technologies. Analysts say the development further demonstrates how artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping not only innovation, but also global financial markets. And that's Tech World Updates, where innovation meets impact and the future stays in focus. As we wrap up another week in technology, one thing remains clear. The future is moving faster than ever, and staying informed is no longer an option. It's a necessity. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next time on Tech World Update. But do stay with us, as after the break is entertainment news updates with Khadija Mohammed. Thank you and have a great weekend.
Hello. Welcome to your entertainment update for today. We've got everything from global music apologies to serious throwback vibes that will make you question how we survive waiting for a whole week for next episode. And yes, African is still collecting nomination like a group assignment we all contributed. So let's get into it. Starting with the Grammy-winning Nigerian artist, Tems has issued an apology after a small but widely circulated mix-up during a public tribute moment. While speaking, she mistakenly referred to the daughter of former U.S. President Barack Obama, Sasha Obama, as Sandra, instead of her correct name. The singer quickly corrected herself and apologized immediately after the error, a moment that was captured and shared widely across all social media platforms. Well, at least Tems corrected hers immediately, unlike some of us who will confidently mispronounce someone's name and still argue about it for 3 business days. Meanwhile, let's rewind a little bit to a time when entertainment didn't pause, buffer, or ask you, subscribe to continue. Before Netflix, YouTube, and binge, watching became part of daily life. Nigerian families gathered around the television like it was a national meeting. If you remember shows like Super Story, Papa Ajasko and Company, Tales by Moonlight, Fuji House of Commotion, Kokro at Dawn, and Inena and Friends were household staples that shaped evenings across the country. Back then, missing an episode meant waiting 7 full days or depending on your neighbor's accurate summary, which was usually 16% drama and 40% misinformation. Today, nostalgia is bringing those memories back, with many Nigerians reflecting on how those shows created shared cultural moments that modern streaming can't quite replicate. And honestly, if you ask me, if Netflix had existed back then, half of us wouldn't have, finished our homework, and the other half will still be previously on Super Story in our life. And finally, speaking of global attention, African music continues its global takeover as artists from across the continent secure multiple nominations at the upcoming BET Award 2026. From Afrobeat to Amapiano and other rising genres, African arts are increasingly shaping global music conversation and earning recognition. On some of the world's biggest stages, the nomination highlights how African sounds are no longer just regional hits, but major international exports, influencing chart, collaboration, and global pop culture. So, from Tems' quick correction to the global days of no rewind television, all the way to African running global award nomination like we on the playlist always. One thing is clear, entertainment never sleeps. It just switches formats. And that's your entertainment update for today. I am Khadija Mohammed, same time, hopefully with fewer name mix-ups and more legendary moments. Coming up next is Sport News with Martha after the break.
Hello and welcome to your sports update. Today we bring you stories of history, dominance and national pride as the FIFA World Cup continues to deliver memorable moments while Nigerian Super Falcons continue to reign supreme on the continent. First up, Canada have recorded their first ever FIFA World Cup victory in a unique fashion after hammering Qatar 6-0. Playing in front of their home fans, the co-hosts produced a strategic attacking display, scoring freely and taking complete control of the contest. The emphatic victory not only marks a historic milestone for Canadian football, but also boosts their hopes of progressing deep into the tournament. For Canada, it was a night they will never forget, and one that could prove to be a turning point in their World Cup journey. Moving on, Mexico have become the first nation to secure qualification for the round of 32 at the FIFA World Cup. An earned victory over South Korea gave the co-hosts their second win of the tournament and guaranteed their place in the knockout stages. Backed by a passionate home crowd, Mexico showed resilience and determination to get the job done. With qualification already secured, the Mexicans can now turn their attention to maintaining momentum as they prepare for the next phase of the competition. And finally, good news, good news. Good news for Nigerian football as the Super Falcons remain the highest ranked women's team in Africa in the latest FIFA rankings. The 9-time African champions also climbed to 36th in the world, reinforcing their position as the continent's leading force in women's football. The ranking reflects the team's consistency and strong performances on the international stage. As preparations continue for upcoming competitions, the latest rankings serve as another reminder that the Super Falcons remain the team to beat in Africa. And that's all on today's sports update. I am Martha Opalanedu. Thanks for watching. Keep the passion for sports alive and have a lovely weekend. Bear in mind that in sports, records can be broken, history can be made, but champions are remain forever. Coming up next is PG News after the break.
My people, how far how una dey? No time to check time today or make we enter the main matter wey carry us come. Federal government don comot plenty money, 500 billion naira emergency money to take face the insecurity and banditry wey dey worry the country. Officials dem talk say the money go enter security people hand sharp sharp as they wan use am buy better weapons, set up better intel and send response to all those sides where bad boys been dey disturb. Government say the main target now to scatter all the hidden places of all these bandits and bring back peace to the areas where they are affected. For inside another story, Nigeria and Ethiopia sign agreement to return prisoners come home. Nigeria and Ethiopia don't hold body tighter for diplomatic levels as they sign new agreement to transfer Nigeria prisoners where they there come back home. Government say this level line up with their renewing hope agenda to look after their citizens we know the Nigeria. Ministry of Foreign Affairs talk say the deal go make Nigerians where they catch for Ethiopia come back home, come complete their jail time near their friends and families where life go better small for them. Them clear am say this one shows say Nigeria government care well for their citizens we know the Nigeria. For inside another development, WHO talks say things they go well for inside DRC Congo Ebola fight. WHO, wey we sabi as World Health Organization, don yarn say they don't see better progress as they fight Ebola inside Democratic Republic of Congo. Even though heavy wahala dey, like how community people no trust them and local fights they happen for there. WHO don't successfully build more isolation centers and they don't upgrade treatment places for those areas. Health officials also bring out new scientific ways to take care of those people who are sick, sharp. And this one don't even save many lives. And for our last story today, Switzerland talks say the peace talk we suppose happen between US and Iran no go happen again. The big peace talk was supposed to happen between US and Iran for Switzerland mountaintop restaurants don't they postpone as they know they happen again for now. Swiss foreign minister confirmed the matter as US Vice President J.D. Vance cancelled a flight to Switzerland. Plus, as the Iran delegation back up small because of the heavy big way they happen for their side. Even though the two countries been signed agreement to open the Strait of Hormuz, the main talk about nuclear matter and how to comot sanction, it don't they hang now. Swiss authorities say them still they wait for them anywhere they want talk, they ready. And now here we go draw the curtain of our gist today as we come out, make una stay safe. We go see una next week with another round of better story.
Shukra right there with another version of our news. And this brings us to the end of S24 Rundown. Do well to follow